Welcome to the Lebanon Economic Development Commission. First order of business is the call. Your call. Oh, the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, shoot.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, roll call, please.
All members are present.
All right. Next, we have an election of officers. Do I have a motion for the election of officers?
I make a motion that we keep the slate of officers the same that we had last year.
And I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Just for the record, the president is Mike Kincaid. You have all those, yeah. And Keith Campbell's vice president, and then Kevin's the secretary.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Hey, any old business? Nope. Okay, for new business?
You want to do the minutes?
Oh, yeah, you want to do the minutes from this? Okay, we have just got the minutes for last year's meeting. We have the minutes for March 25th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Having read the minutes, I make a motion to have them approved.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Now to new business. Public hearing for New Coal Project Phase 3. Ben?
I will give just a brief introduction to these projects, go into the public hearing, and then turn it over to Catherine to talk a little bit more about the resolution that's on your agenda. Let me wake up my computer right here real quick. Right. This is probably the first time some EDC members have seen this project, so I thought I would just briefly go over this. You likely are familiar with the New Coal project that's in the business park and is just north of this site that's highlighted in yellow. This is the New Coal Phase 1 and 2 project that's north of here. And this is New Coal Phase 3. They're going to be building an additional facility just south of their existing facility on this site that's highlighted in yellow. It's about a $500 million total investment in real and personal property. This just gives you a quick idea of the site plan for the property. As you can see here, this is the site that's already in existence there, existing Phase 1 and 2. Phase 3 actually has 2 phases to it. There's a Phase 1 they would begin construction maybe later this year. And then there is a Phase 2 that would come at a later date as yet identified. So just a real quick overview of that project. It's very similar to their existing facility, the high bay cold storage, along with the logistics associated with that, and also an administrative building. This gives you just a quick high-level overview of what that looks like, that first phase of the project here. This is actually hovering over the existing business park looking south at the building. So you can see the high bay on the left here, administrative office kind of in the center, and then some additional logistics here to the side. So again, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the project itself. What we're looking at here is it is establishing a TIF district and then issuing a bond associated with the project, similar to what we did for the other New Coal project. So that's just a real quick over the project. Be happy to answer any questions before I turn it over to Catherine and introduce some of the other items.
They have a question? Okay.
Good evening, Catherine Finello, Public Finance Attorney with Dinsmore and Scholl, Indianapolis. So you have before you a resolution, a project report, and also a form of a trust indenture and a financing agreement. And then also we provide a form of an economic development agreement for your review. So the board, just as a reminder, your job here is to review the project, the proposed financing, which is the issuance of economic development revenue bonds under Indiana Code 36712, and to review that to determine whether it will result in the diversification of industry, the creation or retention of business opportunities, and the creation or retention of opportunities for gainful employment within the jurisdiction of the city, will serve a public purpose and will be of benefit to the health and general welfare of the city, and complies with the provisions of the Economic Development Revenue Act. As Ben mentioned, there will be an investment of approximately $504 million and 200 full-time jobs with an estimated payroll of 13.8 million. So happy to answer any questions. What the resolution proposes, we also have a form of a bond ordinance for introduction at the council that I did not mention earlier, but we're proposing to issue bonds in an amount not to exceed $20,500,000, which would be payable, as Ben mentioned, from the tax increment that's generated from this Phase 3 project. So happy to answer any questions.
So the city itself is not providing any funds for this project. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's not payable from any city pledge, only from the incremental property, real property and personal property taxes that will be generated from this Phase 3 project. And Baker Tilly is here with to discuss the feasibility study that they prepared in connection with the proposed bond issue.
And they'll cover the actual abatement process.
I do not believe there's any tax abatement with this project unless Ben corrects me. There is no tax abatement
Okay.
with this
I just want to make
project.
sure the public hears that.
That is correct. There is no tax abatement with this project.
When I read the paperwork last night, I was pleasantly surprised that it's going to provide 200 more jobs and $13 million in payroll. How many are employed out there now?
That I do not know unless Ben would happen to know that. Oh, did you want to go ahead and come forward? I think they need you at the podium.
I'm Ted Butler, Incentives Manager at Newcold. To answer your question, currently we have about 300 full-time employees at our existing site. This would create an additional 200 jobs on top of that.
Thank you. Thank you for picking Lebanon, Indiana.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate support from the commission, the city. I think our existing project has been a tremendous success, both operationally and in partnership with the city, county, and state. And we look forward to doing the same for Phase 3. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So you will hold a public hearing and ask for any public comment either for or against the project. As one of your findings, as you consider adoption of the resolution, is to determine whether there are any adverse competitive effect on any similar facilities already under construction or in operation within the city. So I guess I would just say open it up for public hearing at this time.
Mr. President and Catherine, if you mind, I'll go through the resolution, just hit the highlights, and then certainly Baker Tilly, Emma, if you after maybe I got done, and then we could open the public hearing. Does that work for you? All right. So commission members, again, resolution 2025-01 is an economic a resolution of this commission making certain findings related to the financing of economic development facilities for Newcold USA 3 Propco LLC. So as Catherine indicated, Newcold USA, or one of its affiliates, and Ben indicated this, intends to finance all or a portion of the construction of approximately 1 million square foot facility. It'll be Phase 3. And as part of this, the company has requested that the city issue taxable economic development revenue bonds in amount not to exceed $20,500,000 and provide the proceeds to the company for the purposes of financing costs of the project, including capitalized interest. That this commission finds that the project will result in the diversification in industry, investment of approximately $504 million in the allocation area, the creation of approximately 200 additional full-time jobs with an estimated annual payroll of $13,800,000. So this commission finds that it will hold a public hearing in just a few minutes, and it'll determine that this The bonds will result in the diversification in industry, creation and retention of business opportunities for gainful employment within the jurisdiction of the city. It'll serve a public purpose, and it complies with the purposes and the provisions of Indiana law. This commission has considered this project will whether or not it'll have an adverse competitive effect on any similar facilities already under construction or in operation within the jurisdiction. It approves the report that is contained in your packet. It also, as Catherine indicated, approves a form of the trust indenture, form of the financing agreement, as well as the form of the ordinance. And you've also received a draft of the economic development agreement. It approves and recommends to the city the issuance of bonds in the maximum amount of $20,500,000. And then the rest of it is standard that the officers can carry out whatever actions that are intended with this resolution to effectuate its intent. And this resolution shall be in full force and effect after its adoption. And with that, I turn it over to Baker Tilly, and then we can open up the public hearing. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Adlam with Baker Tilly. I have here a couple of, excuse my voice also. I have here a couple of slides. Catherine covered the main points, but just to reiterate, the bonds are going to be payable solely from Project TIF. No other city funds will be paid from it. And then also the company will have a guarantee as a backup to the Project TIF. And that's the same structure that has been in place for the Phase 1 and Phase 2 bond issues. The bond repayment structure, which you'll see in a couple of slides, is set to have level debt service payments once the TIF comes online, with the provision that if there is excess TIF, the bonds will be paid down faster. And like I mentioned, the bonds are going to be purchased by a third party, and the company will have a guarantee on that bond issue. For the makeup of the estimated $20.5 million, this is the estimated sources and uses of funds, where the net proceeds, which is the actual dollars the company will receive for purchase of equipment and to build the project, is $16,760,000. Because there is a mismatch of when the bonds are issued and when TIF is generated, there will have to be about $3.5 million set aside from bond proceeds to pay interest during that period until TIF is starting to be generated. And then there's allowance for bank fees and then bond issuance costs that make up the $20 million par amount. And then lastly, this chart, you can see the light shaded in the background. This is the estimated project TIF, both real and personal property. Compared to the columns are the estimated debt service payments. So like I said, to the extent there is that excess TIF in those years, the bonds will be paid off faster. So it doesn't necessarily go for the full 25-year term if there is excess TIF. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So the $20 million, what percentage of the overall cost is that?
20, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but 20 million of $500 million.
Okay, all right.
I don't trust myself to do that in my head.
So instead of a 10-year tax abatement, this is another way of helping with the economic development and helping New Cold.
Exactly. While they still pay their full taxes. And then just it comes back to them in the form of a debt service payment.
And that is for a period of 25 years unless it gets paid off early.
Correct. Correct.
Anybody else have any questions? Does anybody know what the current taxes paid on that land is right now? Ben?
The undeveloped land?
Correct.
I don't have the taxes paid, but I can tell you the assessed value. That the current assessed value is about 1.3 million, and we're estimating just under 100 million real. And then about 52 million in personal, to kind of give you a sense of the magnitude of the assessed value increase.
Okay. Well, sometimes the public thinks that we're just giving things away when actually that land pays a small, tiny amount of taxes that's going to be paid. And then eventually the city will receive 100% of that.
Correct.
Yeah. So, and without that, the building might not come online. So, yeah, so anyway, I just want to make sure people understand that it's a good thing for the community if you don't mind development and growth. Thank you. So now we'll open up for the public hearing. If someone wants to come up and just say their own little words, please do. All righty, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion on resolution 2025-1-01?
Make a motion. Excuse me, I'll make a motion to have it approved.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. What? Okay, Ben, you're up again. Public
I'm up
hearing for
again.
Paddock Place.
I will be even more brief on this one because we do have a representative from Spectre here that has a couple of slides he wants to go through for you. To talk a little bit about their project. And this is a multifamily development, very similar structure to the TIF we just talked about related to New Cold. But it's for a multifamily project. And the reason that we looked at doing some support for this project was because this is a site that, one, it has public infrastructure that has to be extended through the site, both roads and utility infrastructure, rather than just private infrastructure like you do have in a lot of cases of multifamily projects. But because this has a development to the south, the Lennar development, Corbett Towns, and then also Spring Creek development to the north, there is public infrastructure that has to be extended through the site to serve Spring Creek. So that is the portion of the project we're looking at trying to support is those public infrastructure extensions, excuse me. The second is this is a multifamily development that's intended to provide housing for the workforce. And this could be our teachers, our nurses, but more importantly, those advanced manufacturing workers that we expect to get jobs at Eli Lilly and other places in the LEAP district that may be looking to find a place locally to live and hopefully become long-term residents in the city, but that need some place to start. So the reason we're looking at a TIF bond for this project is to try to offset some of those initial public infrastructure costs to try to help keep those lease rates down and affordable for the workforce that we're trying to attract to live here and work here in the city of Lebanon. So again, here's the site. If you're familiar, this is on the north side of town. This would be State Road 39 here to the east and 300 north. Again, there's developments going on south. Corbett Towns is under construction. Spring Creek has started doing earthwork to the north, and this is the site here in the middle. Again, hoping to get started on earthwork here later this year once we get this incentive in place. So with that then, the other thing I did want to mention on the TIF structure, the infrastructure cost, John Pedalick will go through here in a second. But what we looked at was an incentive that would represent about 80% of the anticipated increment. So there is about a 20% pass through that would go to the redevelopment commission on the anticipated increment associated with the project. So we are not dedicating all of the anticipated increment to the bond, only 80% of that. So with that then here, I'll let John take it over and run through a couple slides for you because this may be an unfamiliar project to you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John with Spectre, John Petlick. Just want to give a brief overview of the project for those that are not familiar with it and talk a little bit about the infrastructure costs and that Ben had mentioned. So as he mentioned, the site right at 300 North, not far from 39. We're planning on putting in a total of 230 rental units. It's comprised of 210 more traditional apartments and 20 in row homes that will be for rent with garages. This gives you a little bit of the layout of the project. Bear with me because we had to shift it, rotate it to the side. So now your north is actually to the left. But you can see the row homes are on 300 North, kind of right there. and on the north portion of the property with the more traditional garden-style apartment units behind it. Again, a little bit of an overview of just the type of units that we typically put together in these. They're all 1 and 2 bedroom units. We do have a couple different layouts that are pretty unique we've seen a lot of tremendous amount of interest in, especially for different types of situations, growing families, those sorts of things, where we have a 1-bedroom traditional garden style unit, but also a 1-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 2-story unit. Same with the 2-bed. We actually come up with a 2-bed, 2.5 bath, 2-story unit to kind of separate away the living space from your sleeping space. It's great for growing families and those sorts of things. And then, of course, we have the row homes, which also offer a garage space, and then 2 floors above that. So a little bit on kind of where the TIF component fits into the capital stack overall in the project. As Ben mentioned, one of the key components here is we envision trying to keep some of these costs, find ways to keep the costs from creeping back to the resident, to keep housing costs affordable in a world where it's become very hard to do so. And so what we've pieced together here is a total about a $55 million total project, approximately. And between our debt and between our equity investment, it doesn't quite get us to that total amount to cover the whole amount of the project cost without increasing rent. So we worked with the city, obviously, on trying to put together a structure with the TIF that could help bridge that gap to the tune of about $3 million. So looking at the infrastructure component, as Ben had mentioned, so this is, again, looking at the entire site to give an idea of kind of where the infrastructure is. I left those pieces unshaded for you for a little bit. More specifically, looking at all the different components that have to go into this. So there's the road that obviously you just go through the city and connect the Lennar development to the south, to the Spring Creek development to the north. Water lines that get associated with that and extending the service for those projects, sewer expansion. And then on top of that, there's also some electrical things that I don't have listed in here, but, and then also stormwater that also need to be expanded, including the legal drain to the north that ends up being expanded as well. So kind of looking at all of it, our estimates on what these really ultimately shake out to look like for this portion of the project. In hard costs, we estimate to be about $4.6 million, with the soft costs associated with this portion of it to be around $900,000 to $1 million. So all in about a $5.5 million total investment in the infrastructure.